Guys, we are just starting our live. I have to do it on my I have to do this live on my tablet, which I never use because I dropped my phone in the bathtub today, so it's sitting in rice right now. But nevertheless, we're gonna push through. We are going to push through. Give us a couple minutes to get together. Hi, Infinity. And I still got all my makeup and I'm trying to like put it back. Give me a second. I am still waiting on our my co-hosts to join us too. I don't like this lighting on this. Hey Sean, how are you? Hey Prophecy, I see you. Hey Rashida, did you get in? Let me see, hold on. Let's see if that worked. Y'all know me and technology, y'all. I just need somebody to sit down with me and start a course on how to use stuff. Hey!
Oh, okay. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, good morning. I was just trying to get it all set up and together. Girl, I still got I need to put my earrings on. Should I run and get my earrings or just stay right here?
That's totally up to you. I'm not liking my lighting, girl. I'm just was moving too fast.
I get it.
For me
I
so
get
far.
it too. So once again, everybody, my phone dropped in the bathtub.
I might switch to my phone though.
I feel like this isn't loud enough and it flushes me out, making me look really pale. But
okay, let me go out and come right back.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, look. So I got my phone in rice. Anybody ever put their phone in rice and it worked? I'm gonna have to go to the Sprint store, but Lord knows, or it's not Sprint no more, it's T-Mobile. But Lord knows that I don't even know how to drive it on my GPS, so I'm gonna print out me some good old GPS directions and try to go. Yeah, I'm still waiting. So I heard it was probably 24 to 48 hours, but I just don't see myself being without a phone to 24 to 48 hours. I don't know. Maybe that's God telling me to sit down and chill and disconnect for a while. I don't know. Okay, here we go. Look, it's coming on. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. And then it's just been going blank. Maybe it'll come on all the way up. Yeah, that's the first time all morning they did that. Hold on, let's see. Oh shit, look. I just needed all my people to have my back. This is what, cause oh look at that. Oh my God. It's working. I got all these messages. Okay, so sorry about these glitches. I wonder if maybe I should try to log on through my phone. Is it okay? Can everybody hear me okay and everything on my tablet? Because if that's cool, I'll stay right where it is so I don't have to log out and come back in. Okay, y'all. So Rashida, Coach Rashida is gone. Let me see. She's requesting to come back. Okay, so I'm waiting for her to come back on. Today we were doing these live discussions every Saturday, and then unfortunately I got
okay.
Oh, I hear you.
Now I can't see myself.
My phone came on.
I saw that. It was still going on my iPod. Congratulations.
Girl, I was really like, I was like, oh, that's an extra step. And y'all know I'm on crutches, so every step I take is like a big deal. Like every step.
So I'm happy. I'm happy for you on that.
Girl, thank you. Well, hey everybody who joined. I see Khalid Wave. Hi, how are you? Welcome everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Coach Aisha, or when it's time for me to get a little ruthless with you, I'm Coach Aisha sometimes, depending on what we're working with. And this is my co-host and very good friend and accountability partner, Coach Rashida.
Hi.
We try to do these coaches corners. We started this almost a month ago now, and we record a video. We pick a topic, and we record a video, and we post it on our YouTube and our channels a lot of times. And then we'll come back on Saturday for whoever actually watched the video, and we do a live. And so it could be more interactive, and we can talk to people, and they can tell us, you know, their opinions or get more information from it in case they didn't watch the video.
Walaikum assalam. I see somebody greeted.
I saw you.
I just want to say that I tried. For some reason, I couldn't get the video to post on Instagram this time. The recording. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering. Yeah, girl, was so much going on yesterday. It's no worries. Well, whatever's supposed to happen will happen. I'm just like going with it today.
It's on YouTube, y'all. It's on YouTube.
It is on both our. Well, did I put it? I don't say I put it on my channel yet, but I'll put it on my YouTube channel. So we're building. We're learning as we go. So y'all have some grace with us.
We definitely have gotten better.
We have gotten better. I'm trying to wave everybody. Hi, Joy, Roy, and Regams. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Hopefully.
Hey, Reg. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for joining. So today. We are touching on forgiveness, but not only forgiveness of so as a coach, 99% of a lot of your behavior and your beliefs and things that are going on with you usually comes from something that you developed and created as a child, and usually that directly comes from your interaction with your mother or father, with them being home and absent. Like me and Rashida was talking yesterday, we did our video, and I have a wonderful father. He has been in my life my whole entire life. He's always been supportive and there and financially supportive of my whole family and everything, but I still grew up with daddy issues. and with your father and relationship, it also affects sons like it affects daughters. So a little like of what my experience was. I don't know if anybody can relate or understand, but my father was there financially. And he did the best he could with what he had. And I'm very appreciative of him. And I have a wonderful relationship with him now. But I felt a lot of resentment towards him for a long time because I always felt like he had a lack of emotional connection with me. He didn't know how to connect with me as his daughter. And so I wanted the validation of the daughter. I wanted him to tell me I was pretty. I wanted him to play with me more, spend more time with me. As I got older, I felt like I wanted him to be more protective over me. All these little things that I felt a lack of in my relationship with my father, even though he was there every day. I still grew up with resentment towards him, and it affected me seeking validation or trying to find those things throughout my life with other people. So for me personally, what does a girl do when she's looking for love or appreciation or somebody to tell her that she's beautiful, or I try to look for it in men? So I spent most of my teenage years and my adult 20s and even some of my 30s trying to find this validation from a man that I was enough. And with that being said, it took me a while to realize that I had daddy issues. And I was like, my daddy always been in my house. Why would I have daddy issues? But I definitely did. And I had to actually sit down, and my first step was recognizing that my father is a human, and that my father had his own set of traumas, that that is the reason why that he had these emotional issues, that he couldn't connect with me in the way that I expected and wanted and needed as a child, or even as a young woman. And I had to understand that he's a human and that he makes mistakes, and he did the best he could in his capacity. And me forgiving him was also me releasing myself from that attachment of just releasing myself from that anger attachment, that space that it held inside of me where I couldn't be the most productive I could. I couldn't attract the type of man that I wanted until I worked through myself to be able to release him. So that's from a woman's perspective, and a woman who had a father in home perspective. Rashida, do you want to talk more about your particular with your father, and then we'll go into more detail. I'm going to run real quick as you go because I got to go grab some I printed in the printer. Okay, with some notes on it.
Okay, I will start. Hi guys, good morning. For me, I'm on Central Standard Time. I'm gonna have to move around too because I have a 3-year-old over here. But I want to just give my introduction. For me, we're talking about forgiving fathers, and the expectation is that we hope that you learn to extend that forgiveness, and that forgiveness is not for the other person, your father. It's actually for yourself. So for me, I had to learn how to forgive my dad because I held resentment from my parents divorcing and him not being with me anymore. My dad was my first admirer, the first person that showed me joyous love, so to speak. And so when he was gone, that space definitely was, that void was there, and it stayed with me for a long time throughout my life. I did spend time with my dad on and off in my childhood, but I didn't see him as much as I liked. And I also didn't see my family as much as I liked from my dad's side. So both of those things made me build up this real serious resentment toward my dad. And I just had to one day, I was a woman walking around, a girl walking around, and then a woman walking around, claiming I have daddy issues and using that as an excuse to be involved in ridiculousness. And only because of the rhetoric around daddy issues. So you can definitely be affected by your experience with your parents, either your mom or your dad. But the whole stigma of just saying I got daddy issues and then using that as a plague that allows you to behave ridiculously. Okay, just one second. It is something that we're trying to break away from. So in me, I gotta go potty. Okay, I gotta go take a kid to the potty. But in me, for me, breaking away from my resentment was like the best thing that I could have done. I resented my dad for what I thought he didn't do for me, but I didn't even understand what I was talking about. I knew not where he was coming from. I knew not of his experiences, and what I wanted from him is what I used as a catalyst for resentment and grudge and the foundation of my emotional behavior. And so I just reached a point in my life where I started forgiving people that I considered who did me wrong. And at first, my dad wasn't the first person on the list. But then I, actually through counseling, I recommend counseling for people. Through counseling, coaching, whatever. Through counseling, I did realize I did harbor some resentment, and that resentment was clogging me up emotionally. And so I made an intention to work to forgive my father for what I thought he hadn't done for me. So in that work, I had to understand, number one, that I didn't know everything that I thought I was talking about. And number two, I had to stop waiting for what I thought my dad didn't give me to come to fruition. Because that void that, could be there, that void can be real. But that void will never be filled because that void is from past actions. Yeah. And you can't go back and change the past. What you can do is move forward, recognize how you feel, and move forward. If your dad is around and you're able to speak with him, take the opportunity to do that. If not, then pray about it. Pray for forgiveness for your dad. Pray for you to be able to offer that forgiveness for your dad. There's a power in forgiveness. It's a cliche, and you'll hear me say I don't like cliches, but it's the truth. Some are true, some are ridiculous, and some are true. There's power in forgiveness. When you forgive, you release what you're holding in your emotional bank, so to speak. You release that struggle for something to make up what you feel like you are missed out on, and you're able to move forward in power. When you forgive without expectations. Forgive to free yourself and to free your soul, and without expecting that other person to
That's
do anything with your forgiveness,
that's
because that
key.
forgiveness is only for you.
Yeah.
You can go to your dad if you're able, alhamdulillah, if you are. If you're not, you can, like I said, pray about it, and you can offer that forgiveness to them in words.
Mhm.
But forgiveness is really a mental thing. So you can forgive someone in your mind, and you can also forgive them in action, and that would make it complete. That action doesn't always have to be what you're doing towards them.
Right.
It could be what you're doing for yourself. So once you forgive, then you move in a space of freedom
Hmm.
and power and joy.
I was just
And you're
about to
not
say
plagued
that.
around by this backpack of,
Yeah.
what I'm owed or what needs to happen to make me feel better. But I'm going to tap out just a second to go take my 3-year-old to the restroom, and I'm going to turn my camera. So I'll be back, Aisha.
We got so many in and outs today. It's fine though, because we are both here. So what Rashida said, I want to speak on the freedom part. From an emotional perspective, if you're holding that energy of hurt and resentment and pain from a past experience, um, it can have vast, dire effects on your life. It will affect your relationships. If you're a man, it'll affect your relationships with other men. It may affect your relationships with your sons and daughters. Even your relationship with your significant others and your friends, etc. Because in general, this pain that you're holding, that other person it doesn't even affect them. They're not even aware of how much pain you're holding on to in your form, I'm mad at you, so I'm going to punish you. But that punishment isn't punishing anybody but yourself. Like Rashida said, the freedom that comes from letting go and forgiving somebody gives you that space to move on. It's not about them. It's not about what they do with the forgiveness. You can forgive somebody and never even tell them that you forgave them if your relationship is that stringent. But what happens is it allows the pain can filter all experiences. It is so true, Sean. It definitely can. Like it will literally have a sense of hold and control over your life. And you walk around, you're angry, and that pain sits in your body, it sits in your nervous system, it sits in your body, and you're walking around, and this person is free. They don't even know that they affected you this much. And so now you have no freedom, and you're letting somebody else dictate and control your life by you holding on to that resentment. And so for me, I find what I find is with our parents, we love, even when we have mothers who struggled and maybe didn't do the best, or she did the best she could in her capacity, but it affected us vastly, and maybe we felt neglected or had some trauma or abandonment or whatever with our mom. A lot of times we'll forgive our mom because that's moms. Like, you're going to forgive your mother, but your father, it's easy to hold on to that forever. And then when you look at all the pressures that, like, I do coaching for kings, so I work with Black men all the time. Like, that's my specialty. So I get to understand the struggle of being a Black man. But when you look at the struggles that they specifically go through, I'm not saying that you ever not validate the hurt that somebody gave you, but you validate. I'm trying to make sure I say this right. It's not that your hurt isn't important or isn't valid, but it's what you do with that hurt that is important. If you use that hurt to stay inside of you, it's going to eat you up. But if you use that hurt to it's your lesson. This is the wisdom that you gain from this maybe dysfunctional relationship you had with your father. That right there in itself is where you gain your strength, where you gain your sense of character, where you become a better father or a better mother or just a better human, because you took those painful experiences, instead of holding on to that resentment and blaming everybody else and being a victim, you decided to go ahead and use that to empower you. So you can take your most painful experiences and these things that happen to every human are different traumas that we all go through, and you can turn them and flip them around into an empowering place for you versus staying stuck in it. I don't know, does anybody who is watching, what is your relationship like with your father? Anybody else have like a relationship with their father that may have affected them in their life, and they didn't even, maybe they're just recognizing it in this video, or maybe they've been, you know, like still holding resentment or a little something towards their father now. I'm just curious, just so we can see if anybody wants to participate or want to talk more about that, because thank you, Sean. But no, seriously, so like especially with the pain and the struggle that a lot of Black men go through. Black men, as anybody who I know, they come into this world with the weight on their shoulders. They already are born into trauma. They have all these expectations, and then they're supposed to be this loving dad, but they don't even know how to love. So when you look at it from their perspective, like I said, I'm not making an excuse, and I'm not devalidating your experience, but it's giving you some context so you can look at this person and be like, you know what, I need to maybe have a little bit more empathy that my father was a human being, and maybe he had fears, and maybe he had traumas, and what happened with his father, your grandfather, and what happened before then, because it's usually a trickling effect. I find a lot of men, one of the struggles I find with a lot of men is they are so hard on themselves for being a perfect dad because of what they went through with their father. So they overcompensate and they overstress themselves out, and they're over, I want to teach my children because my father wasn't there. I had resentment towards my dad when he passed, but I had to look inside and realize it was just sorrow for missing him. It wasn't his choice, and I tried his best. He tried his best to be around that heal me. Oh, that's beautiful. Sorry about the loss of your father, number one, and thanks for sharing. But that is like super important, because we will hold on to this resentment, and sometimes we don't even recognize or walk around with all this weight on us, and we're wondering why we can't heal, why we can't grow, why we can. Okay, most men get over the pain from a missing father, but that pain turns into fear of being a father because there was no teacher on how. Oh my God, you know what, you are hit it on the head. Music by Phil 6'6". You have hit it like completely on the head, because when I'm talking and coaching different men, I've had this in the past couple of days. I have people tell me like, I'm just hoping that I am doing the right thing as a father. And I am, and so with that being said, like, we got to realize how this forgiveness, it also helps you forgive yourself and make you realize that you're just a human. And if you are a father, and women who have children with men, those are also other fathers. We're not talking about just your father, but it may be like your spouse or your husband or your baby daddy. Like,
forgive.
Yeah, you have to. But on top of that, it's just like, you got to realize that we are all human, and there's never going to be a perfect father. There's never going to be a perfect example. But when you can let go, you can allow yourself, just let, like, your spirit, your God, the universe, they will talk to you. But it's hard to allow that meditation to that space when you're so angry and you're stuck being a victim. And I think when you decide you want to, I'm going to stay in this anger, I'm going to walk around angry, honey, it's not affecting anybody but you. Period. Like, you are the one that's completely being affected by that. And I mean, just to be blunt with you, like I tell people all the time, human beings, we are selfish. We don't really care about what's going on with you. So you sitting here, you are hurting yourself by holding on to this resentment the whole time. You know, Rashida,
You made a good point. You know, that's the best point that you just made. I'm sorry, Music by Phil. Is that what that is?
Yes.
So one thing that we have to understand, like, okay, so we're talking about forgiving fathers. And Aisha touched on it. Not just your father, but other fathers. For women, you know, you may feel some kind of way about your children's father. And I think, you know, if you had a negative experience with him or not, I think sometimes we should think about how, you know, that father could be an abandoned child themselves. And as an abandoned child, they don't know how to be a father. Some fathers don't experience that, and some do. And those that do that deserve a type of empathy, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And to where you can say, okay, you made a mistake, you did wrong, we forgive you, and we are going to move forward in a space of tranquility, so to speak. Like someone else said earlier, pain can filter all your experiences. So if you're walking in pain that you experienced from your father, however that pain came about, you're not giving yourself the opportunity to live your life fully.
Right.
And you're also not giving yourself to the opportunity to be your true self, because everything that you do is garnered by fear. Everything that you do is garnered by what you think is owed to you. And that can be very stifling. And so you want to forgive. Forgiving is not easy. It's a struggle. It's a difficult task. So just forgiving in itself, once you accomplish that task, you feel so good. Okay, I'll give you one in just a second. You feel so good from having accomplished this feat. I think I said it yesterday. This feat that you can move forward as a progressive human being. I mean, you can live in the fact that you won over this negativity that was trying to rule your life and affect your existence. So once you offer that forgiveness mentally, it can be small. You can start small and say you forgive a small thing every day. Try it for 15 days, making a statement of forgiveness. And then if you can keep going, turn that 15 days into a full 30 days. After those 30 days, take an assessment when you begin how you feel. Then take an assessment of how you feel at the end of those 15 to 30 days. And you will see a difference. And you will see how forgiveness frees you.
Right.
And you will see, if you have the opportunity, you may see how you're ready to understand why you didn't have the experience with the father that you wanted to have. You may be ready to listen after you forgive. You may be ready to become enlightened by what your father has to offer you. Okay, I got to take me a little kid break again.
Okay, it's okay. So one thing that I was going to say too, and this is another aspect.
Yes, advertising yourself. Yes.
Oh no, they speaking. Okay.
Go ahead.
I have to forgive my father after his death by understanding where he learned love from and how he didn't know my love language. So we have a disconnect. I feel so good forgiving him. Right. I could be a better wife now because I don't see my husband in light of my father's mistakes. I learned to trust my husband. That's beautiful. I'm so happy that you came to that.
Exactly.
This is another thing.
Exactly.
And this is another thing that
one more second.
Y'all. This is another thing that I want to also maybe throw at you. We all have a script of our life that comes from our perception of how we interpret our life. And it's challenging to some people because we feel like that our story is the solid truth. That is what it is. This is what happened to me, and that's true. But you have to realize that every story is your interpretation that's developed from your brain, from your level of experience and life experiences that you have, etc., that created the story. And you may have created a story that was influenced by someone else. So now your whole life, maybe for instance, your father and your mother had a very conflicted relationship, and they just had a lot of drama, and they just, had a lot of just craziness going on with them too. And so your mom is consistently upset. She's frustrated with him because he's not paying child support. He's not coming to see you. He's not holding his. So she completely talks about your father all the time in this light. And then now in your story, you created that my father ain't shit. Excuse my French. I'm sorry. My father isn't anything. My father is crap. Blah, 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 blah. And so now that's part of your story. But you know that stories are just the story. That's all it is. Like at the end of the day, you can rewrite your story. But you have to be flexible in your life if you're trying to go on this path of self-awareness, this path of self-growth, this path that we're all trying to be the most empowered version of ourselves, letting go of all these things that don't serve us anymore. You have to realize that your story is your story and it's your creation. Don't let me start talking about how your life is your creation. And you have to take responsibility for you choosing to look at your story in that way. And when you look at it, you're like, let me look at my father like a complete human being not just as this person that I created in my mind and my story. So all I'm focusing on is his consistent wrongdoings. And when you stay in that lane and you start to be open, it gives you a space of understanding. It gives you a place where you're like, okay, so whew. It also releases you from having to feel like you're stuck, or having to feel like your story is your story and this is the only way it is and you have no control and power of your life. Empower yourself. Take control of your life. I don't want to feel this way anymore. Let me rewrite the story. Let me take a full look at this person I've been on resentment to all the time, and let me understand what really happened. You don't have to I'm not telling you to run away. I'm not telling you to ignore your experience, but embrace your experience. Come into it. Why did I go through this? What did this experience give to me? Sometimes we look at our biggest lessons and we hate them, but our biggest lessons and our biggest teachers in life are the people and the lessons who usually cause pain. So my exes who did me super wrong, I have to look back and bless them. And I know we're talking about, but I'm just giving an example of somebody. We've all been wronged by somebody, or felt wronged by somebody, or felt like we were a victim in a situation. But you have to look back and bless those people. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Dad, for, this neglect. Thank you for not being there. Thank you, because this made me to the woman or the man that I am now, and that's kind of how I look at things. So when I'm doing forgiveness, it makes it easier, because this is a whole human that we're dealing with. Because I'm pretty sure every single one of us, even if we're parents, we have made mistakes as parents. Look at yourself. Look in the mirror. Sometimes you hurt your kid's feelings. And it could have been something small in your mind, but your child can take that same experience into the future and hold on to it forever. I'm gonna tell y'all something really random. And Rashida knows me from since I was a child. We've actually been knowing each other since I was about 7. She was my babysitter, so I'm just throwing that out there. And then as we got older, we kind of like reconnected and rekindled our sisterhood. And we both doing life coaching, and it just kind of worked. But when I was a little girl, we lived in the country, 80 acres of land in Weatherford, Texas. And I was a collector of cats.
Oh, Lord.
No, I'm not listen, like Thomas, real life cat lady, right? So in the country, back in the 90s, people would come to the country when they didn't want their animals anymore, and they'll drop them off. And me, with my heart, I've always had a super crazy, immense, huge heart. And I would collect every cat, every dog that I could, and I would make them my pets without my parents' permission. And so we grew up really poor, and cats unspayed in the country, they just multiply. So let's just tell you, by the time I was about 9 or 10, I had over 30 cats. Listen to me, 30 cats. We were living outside. We're not in the house, so let's just But I was sneaking and collecting cats. So my father, he hated to tell me no. He hated to, because we grew up so poor, that was one of his insecurities was, he couldn't give and provide financially for his family as up to par as he wanted to, and so that was his own insecurity. Of course, as a child, I'm not understanding that. So instead of him being reasonable, sitting me down, baby, you cannot have 30 cats, because out of his pain and his trauma, he couldn't do that. He didn't want to disappoint his daughter. He would, in his mind, I guess he thought, oh, she got 30 cats, so it's not going to affect her. But he would literally take my cats, put them in his trunk, drive all the way down the street and drop them off somewhere else. He'll do like 1 or 2 at a time. That traumatized me. I mean, when I tell you I carried that trauma all the way up, I was mad at my father. Sorry, my phone's ringing. I'm gonna have to mute them. I was mad at my father until I was about 32 or 3. I was so hurt, and I had trust issues with men, dealing from this little thing to him. Like, she got 30 cats. She's not gonna know if I put a kitten in the trunk and take it down the street. Like, how would she even know? Because to him, but every single cat for me was important. But I was 8 or 9, and I carried this trauma with me for the rest of my life. And that turned into, for me, being pissed off at him, and so being mad at men, having trust where I couldn't trust men, thinking men were always going to disappoint me, or somebody was going to come in. And I had, like, when I went through my healing sessions, I was boo-hoo crying, and you see me in a healing session like, my cats! I know it's funny now, But I'm telling you, like, your little trauma. So this is where your forgiveness kicks in, where you know, like, you're human too, and you're going to do stuff to your kids now unintentionally that will affect them when they're older. And just you knowing to take responsibility as a parent and a father or a mother now, you know that your parents usually did the best they could with the capacity of what they had. And that's not an excuse. And you can, it's okay to understand, not devalidate your experience, but they did the best that they could in the capacity of what they had to work with, whether it was mentally, whether it was educationally, whether it was spiritually, emotionally, financially, regardless. And so, with that being said, it opens up a space where forgiveness becomes easier.
Yeah.
Like, have some understanding. I'm sorry, I've been talking a lot, so I'll let you go if you have anything.
So this is what I have to say about that. Even if they could have done better, even if your father could have done better, he didn't do better. And there's nothing you can do about that now. You can't make your experience better with your dad
Right
from your childhood. Because time and space and things don't work like that. It's not Back to the Future. We got to live in here, today, and now. And you have to make choices. You have to make choices about how you move forward. I saw a couple of things that resonated with me in the comments, but I kind of don't remember them now.
They've been talking.
But one was good that said, your experience with your father can teach you what not to accept from people,
right.
And from guys, I guess. And yeah, that could be true. Just in your learning and knowing, okay, I'm not going to accept this because I've seen this bad behavior, you still have to backtrack and forgive that man for that bad behavior that you saw.
Right.
Also, with forgiveness, I think I said this earlier, but I'm going to reiterate it. It requires you to do nothing with that other person. It only requires you to release what is pent up inside your own thoughts and feelings and emotions. And that's it. I mean, it's really about setting yourself free. I know a lot of times in our parents, when we become adults and we begin to behave in ways that we know that they do, or we engage in behavior that we've seen them engage in, and we hate it because we hated it when we were children, and we hate that we are adults doing the same thing that we hated. It weighs you down, and it causes you to live in a state of defense, and you can't even really be as defensive as you want to be because you are not really acknowledging what the situation is. Yeah. So, acknowledge that. That's a good thing. Being aware of it is the first good thing. And then you kind of deal with it, and then you have to let it go. So you know what? I just hear me say it all the time. I'm a big proponent of letting things go. And people always say it's not that easy, but it is. Okay. If it happened a minute ago, it happened.
And you can let it go. If you don't know how to let it go in your own mind, you're like, well, how do I do that? A lot of times letting go is easier to, and I'm not advocating trying to get a client, but it's easier to do it with other people who have had experience with it sometimes, because they can have a different perception and they can throw out an idea or a question that helps you with the process. But you can do it alone. Like, I'm not discrediting, because we can do most of it alone, but why? Well, you can get help. That's just kind of my perception. You can take a year trying to figure something out, or work with somebody who already figured it out, and they can assist you with that. That's one thing. And let me just be be frank and blunt. We have to stop living our lives in victim mode. Yeah. And if you continue to hold resentment towards somebody, that's feeding into your victim mode. Okay, this happened to you as a child, but now you're an adult. You have a choice. Or you can continue to live in this mode. Like I sometimes I'm so blunt I can't even sugarcoat it, but get over it. Like, and that's kind of like, I have to talk to myself like that sometimes. Like, I should get over it. Like, you done. I give myself a day or two to be, or even I don't even waste that much time because I don't have that much time anymore. So I give myself like an hour. I'll be like, okay, girl, you can be mad for this long, but get over it because it's not worth it. You're wasting your time and energy that could be put towards what you're really trying to create in your life. Like,
You can keep trying. You can think
you know,
were over it and you
that's
forgave,
thank
and
you for saying that.
keep trying.
There's levels of forgiveness.
Yeah.
Something that's entrenched and so deep in your soul and it's part of your personality, that resentment. Like, I was talking to a lady who's really holding resentment towards her husband, and that resentment is part of her story. She holds that resentment so hard. I said, you know what? You holding that resentment so hard. It's such part of your story that if you let it go, everything that you have, your excuse for your whole life, is going to dissipate. That's why you can't let it go. So
Yeah.
if your whole life is living out of, I can't do this because my father wasn't there for me. I can't do this because my father didn't support me. I can't do this because of my father that. For the rest of your life, you're going to be sitting there living out of that space. You are never going to be able to grow, period. So stop being a victim. Take control of your life. Empower yourself. Like, these are some of the things that come with these forgiveness, release, and changing your story things that we're like suggesting that I think will empower you in your life and in your trajectory of where you're trying to go. You know, and that's one of the first steps to do is just your parents in general, your childhood. Take a look at your childhood because that's usually where your innermost beliefs lie. Your beliefs around your worth, your value, all those things usually stem from your parents, your childhood, your grandparents, however you grew up. So if you start to really analyze those beliefs, you really can take a real clear picture of yourself. And if you're living in victim mode, or if you're holding resentment, you're still living in victim mode because you're still blaming somebody else for your problems that occurred now. As painful or as much as you may it's not really even a disagreement. The more you're living in resentment, the more you're holding on to this pain, the more you're trying to blame somebody else for your situation now, the more impact it's going to have on your life. So that's why forgiveness is so key. It empowers you.
You could be in a state where the person that you're trying to forgive is not changing their behavior towards you, that made you get into this pathway of resentment. And that's okay. You know, the forgiveness, you have to remember with forgiveness has nothing to do with the other person. Forgiveness is all about you. It's all about you. So if you forgive someone and they're still behaving in the manner that hurt you in the first place, that's okay. You just have to forgive them anyway. What you do is you remove yourself from that interaction that you have with that person.
Right.
If it doesn't serve you to interact with them, now you forgive your father, definitely. But if it doesn't serve you to interact with them, then that goes to the whole, watch how you be around toxic people. So you have the right to remove that type of situation from your life. But you still want to make sure that your heart and your soul is clear. And in how to do that is in offering forgiveness. It's a strength, though, and it empowers you.
I like what you were saying. Just to jump on that topic, when you do release yourself and you forgive somebody, like, they hold no power in your life anymore. They can still act in that same manner, and I promise you, it may annoy you a little bit, but it's not going to affect you so much where it changes your whole day and puts you in this anger space and things like that. You're releasing control other people have over you when you forgive. And I know, like, for sure with me, I'm one of them people, I don't like anybody having that much power over me because I'd be like, oh, hell no, I control my life. So if I'm seriously mad and holding on to anger, resentment to somebody, I know that they can control me at any moment because I'm already holding them. All they got to do is come in and say something and push a button, and my whole day is messed up. And now this person who I'm pissed off of, who I really don't like or want to be around me anyway, they control my whole life. And I don't want to give nobody that much power. I refuse. So that was one of my motivators for forgiveness. I was like, oh, girl, you can't give nobody this much power. Like, I don't care if it's mother, father, child, period. Nobody deserves to have that much power over me and my life and my moods and my production and the quality of my life in general. you know. Does
Yeah.
anybody have any questions or want to say anything at all, or have a comment, or maybe even want to join in because they got something they want to say? No, maybe not.
Did we have our timer going
I
today?
do. I started it like halfway through. So I want to, we always try to keep it under like 55 minutes in case we want to post this to our stories later. But I kind of touched on
Let me
everything.
go back to just the, clear statement.
Thank
You know,
I value you
we
for
want
tuning me in today.
Thank you, Kiana. We appreciate it. Thank you for joining, and definitely thank you for your comments.
Everybody, there was a lot of comments, and I hope we were able to. Thank you for teaching me what not to accept. I'm trying to tell you.
But also, don't accept that weakness from your own self. You know,
Right.
Hold yourself accountable for taking care of you. Yeah. It's important. It's imperative that you forgive the person that you feel holds so much power in your life, and remove that barrier, I guess, that barrier to who you are. Right. When it comes to your father, forgive your father and remove from your mental, from your soul, from your mental, whatever it was that he wasn't able to give you. Yeah. And then, you know,
I find
take care of yourself.
I find that we're looking for all of that. And as cliche as it sounds, and I know everybody's so tired of self-love and self-work and self-healing and self-awareness, but it really and truly, like, especially as a woman who came from having these daddy issues, that was my story. And I really wasn't able to attract, okay, so I've been in a relationship now for about 3 years. I have never been in a relationship in my adult life. I always feel like, yeah, that's my main guy, or deal with somebody, but never really commit. But until I dealt with my daddy issues, forgave my father, start really working on the things I was looking for him to validate within me, I started to do that for myself. So I stopped focusing on men. I stopped focusing on everything but looking internally into me, and my relationships fell in my lap. I was not looking for it. But I'm not to say that everybody's looking for a relationship, but when I got to the place where I really, really, really like, you know, I'm tired of running around. I'm tired of, let me just be frank, I'm tired of meaningless sex. I'm tired of meaningless relationships, meaningless interactions. I'm tired of all the stuff that had no value to my life. I was tired of partying all the time and not having, I mean, well, I had goals, but I'm gonna do that when I get older. I'm gonna do that when I'm like, girl, you're 33. And you keep pushing it off, like, what, you gonna wait till you're 40? You know, so it got to the point where for me, it was just like, I got tired of everything. And I started to have to look inside. I have to start taking full responsibility. Love you too, Ricky. And I have to I've seen a lot of PB people on here. I saw Whitehead, I saw Ricky, I saw a couple people pregnant. But anyway, it took me to that place where I really just had to take a real good look at myself and all the crap that I was holding on to. I had to be like, you know what, you're responsible for you. You're responsible for you. Stop being a victim. And I slowly but surely check my boxes. And I still work on myself every day because, honey, believe me, I still got a whole lot of work to do. So, but all I can tell you is that, and we're probably going to log off in a second because I know we're kind of beating it over with a dead horse. And I don't really have any new ideas because really and truly, it is freeing up yourself. And that's pretty much what it is. Like, you letting go of all this resentment, all this hate, I promise you, your life will change. And if you have to do a little bit by little, that's fine. You may do a little bit now and check your meter. How mad is he still pissing me off?
Little by little.
You know, you go back, okay, let me do a little bit more. Let me work a little bit more. But make it a focus.
I want to say one thing. Have empathy. You can have empathy for your father without negating your experience.
Right.
And so, but what it does is it gives you a foundation to forgive. And then, of course, as we said, that forgiveness gives you the power. It allows you, and it doesn't just give you the power as it relates to your dad. If you're in a situation where you need to forgive your father for your experience with your father, that forgiveness allows you to strengthen every aspect of your life.
Yes.
Every aspect of your life. It allows you to rebuild. It allows you to reset. And remember, there's nothing wrong with rebuilding and resetting. There's nothing wrong with changing and transforming. You know, you can be
over and
like
over and over and
be
over
your best
again.
self. Recycle your best
I
self.
reinvent myself every couple of months. No, seriously. And then, I mean,
But try it, give it some time and try it.
just let go of that, because that anger, that hate, it will eat you. It will cause diseases like physical manifestations.
Literally, it will. And if you're a praying person, you know, you have to pray. You have to pray.
Or if you're a meditating person, you meditate. I mean, like, because we try to touch every type of people. We have two, Rashida, have two different crowds. And that's why we like our contrast, because we still value the same information from two different perspectives, you know.
Yeah.
And you have to realize, like, we're all one at the end of the day. And like I said, your parents, whatever they did, you probably going to do something similar to your children.
Definitely. I know I made 500,000 mistakes with my first group.
Even I don't have children, but even like in my relationship, I constantly making mistakes, and I'm like, oh, that wasn't right. You should have did that. You should have handled that a different way. But that's just part of your humanity. And so the more you can get in touch with your humanity, the more you don't hold people to these high expectations. You know, it's just inhumane. But
you know, parents are human. You know, we make mistakes. We learn from bad experiences sometimes.
Right.
And you know, we unfortunately we make mistakes, and unfortunately, as a child, you receive the effect of your parents' mistakes. But it doesn't end you, and it doesn't, if you're alive, you definitely are not ended. Right. You definitely have the opportunity to recognize your experience. You know, one thing I say, feel it, deal with it, and heal it, and then move forward and grab your best life. Yeah. Even if you're starting at 45, grab your best life.
Right.
So it can happen at any age, you know, 20, 35. For me, it happened at what, 29 or something. I don't know, 28, 27. I don't know.
33 for me. That's when I really changed I stopped being a victim and took control of
my life. Did I say 20? No, 35. 35. Okay, I'm tripping.
It was 33 35. For me. I would say that. Like, that's 3 years ago for me. Going
34. I'm just counting in my head now.
Yeah, right now, so it's never too late. It's never too late. Even if you're 50 and you start resentment towards your father, and he may not even be here anymore. Like, but still, we can hold resentment and pain and anger to people who aren't even living. And that's really, and then that death hurts even more because you have so much wrapped up in it. So that's another thing to look at.
When you feel like you can't go back, but you can always forgive, because that forgiveness is a part of your soul.
Yeah.
It's part of your system.
I do want to go ahead and probably wrap it up, because it's going to get probably over an hour in a second. So
okay.
Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, we're always here to hopefully enlighten you. Hopefully somebody got something out of this today. Hopefully, if you are holding resentment towards your father, you can decide to maybe even tease the idea of forgiving him. And hopefully this
entertain it a little bit.
Just a little bit. Hey, Yusuf. Hey, Bessie. Hey, Mike. Everybody's about to log out. But seriously, like, tease that idea of forgiving your father. And we will put the post this for people who are just logging in. We'll post this later on our pages so y'all can replay it and watch it and hopefully gain some insight, some information. And I love you all. So thank y'all for showing up today. I hope to see you again next Saturday. I don't know what our new topic will be, but we try to do a live every Saturday with a new topic.
Let us know if you got a topic.
Oh, yeah, you can text us and let us know what topics, because we've been trying to figure out stuff that makes sure that it's fun and it's interactive and everybody can relate to. So, love you guys. It was good talking to you today and interacting and discussing. I hope you all have a blessed weekend and a great week coming up. And Rashida, I guess I'll see you probably in a couple days so we can discuss our next video.
Yes, ma'am. God's peace and blessings to all of you. Thank you for joining. Feel free to let us know anything you want to let us know.
Thank you. Y'all have a wonderful night. Day. I guess it's day. Yeah, I'm already in the night mode.
It's daytime now.
Have a good one. Talk to y'all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Love you.